and cheered as he died, while Mary and the others cried. But God raised him up from death's sleep, and he kept the promise only he could keep. And he said, roses will bloom again, just wait and see. Don't mourn what might have been, only God knows how and when. Roses will bloom again. Roses will bloom again. Last night I dreamed I saw the Savior bent low. He was bearing the cross with tears in his eyes, and oh, how he cried, not for mercy, but for me, who was lost. Each step was beaten by sinners as he staggered, he stumbled and fell. As I stood at his side, he whispered, I love you, and I'll prove it at the top of the hill. He tried to rise under his burden. The old rugged cross bowed him down. I saw blood on his hands, it sprinkled the sand as it ran from a thorn-tangled brow. It mingled with sweat and flowed with the teardrops that face to forget I never will. And the way he whispered to me, I love you, and I'll prove it at the top of the hill. Oh, Jesus, forgive me, so unworthy of the love you revealed. For me, you traded a throne in heaven for a cross at the top of my knees down here to sand. I'm gonna holler high, Hosanna. When I reach that promised land, well, I looked way over Jordan. I saw people dressed in white. Now I know they was God's children, Lord, 'cause I seen 'em doing right. And then I looked way over Jordan. What do you think that I did see? Well, I seen a band of angels, Lord, coming after me. Now you can take me out to the graveyard, and you can lay this body down. But on that first resurrection morning, well, I'm gonna come up, come up, come up, come up, come up out of the ground. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. And when I hear the trumpet sound, well, I'm gonna get up, gonna get up, gonna get up out of the ground. There ain't no grave
to a city where the streets with gold are laid, where the tree of life is blooming and the roses never fade. Here they bloom but for a season. Soon their beauty is decayed. I am going to a city where the roses never fade. In this world we have our troubles, Satan's snares we must evade. We'll be free from all temptations where the roses never fade. Here they bloom but for a season. Soon their beauty is decayed. I am going to a city where the roses never fade. Loved ones gone to be with Jesus in their robes of white array. Now waiting for my coming, where the roses never fade. Here they bloom but for a season. Soon their beauty is decayed. I am going to a city where the roses never fade.
They took the John Deere tractor from the barn. There's machinery scattered all around the farm. There's a set of worn out tires, a few old rusty pliers, just sitting on a trailer all alone.
table where I sat and ate my dinner. There's that old wood stove that warmed me in the winter. When they sell it off tomorrow, for me there'll be no sorrow. I've left it all and I turned out the winner. I'm gonna celebrate while they sell my state. In heaven I don't need it anymore. And while they're trying to decide what to divide, I'll be shouting from this heavenly shore. Oh, they can have it all, and I'll have them all, just shouting praises to my Lord. I'm gonna celebrate while they sell my state. In heaven I don't need it anymore. That refrigerator never was that good, and that computer I just never understood. And when I think of all my past and where I am at last, I wouldn't even go back if I could. I'm gonna celebrate while they sell my state. In heaven I don't need it anymore. And while they're trying to decide what to divide, I'll be shouting from this heavenly shore. Oh, they can have it all, and I'll have them all, just shouting praises to my Lord. I'm gonna celebrate while they sell my state. In heaven I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna celebrate while they sell my state. In heaven I don't need it anymore. While they're trying to decide what to divide, I'll be shouting from this heavenly shore. Oh, they can have it all, and I'll have them all, just shouting praises to my Lord. I'm gonna celebrate while they sell my state. In heaven I don't need it anymore. In heaven I don't need it anymore. Lord, in heaven I don't need it anymore.
How much do I owe you? Said the husband to his wife. For standing beside me.
Please stand and turn to page number 114, Amazing Grace. Page number 314. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. time, but now I see 'twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less taste to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Thank you. You may be seated.
Going to have a word of prayer to open the service, and I'm going to ask my son Alan if he would lead us in prayer. Would you do that, sir?
Father, we thank you, Lord, that as we come together this morning, Lord, that we don't sorrow as those who have no hope. Lord, it is in you that we have hope. Because of you, Lord, we can have hope not only in this life, but an understanding and a confidence in the life that is to come. Lord, we pray as we remember the life that you gave us for our hope. Lord, I pray most of all we might remember the work that you did in her life, that you want to do in each life that's here. Lord, we pray it will be done. May you be glorified in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast, there by his love o'ershaded, sweetly my soul shall rest. Hark, 'tis the voice of angels, born in a song to me, over the fields of glory, over the jasper sea. Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe from corroding care, safe from the world's temptations, sin cannot harm me there. Free from the blight of sorrow, free from my doubts and fears, only a few more trials, only a few more tears. Jesus, my heart's dear refuge, Jesus has died for me. Firm on the rock of ages, ever my trust shall be. Here let me wait with patience, wait till the night is o'er, wait till I see the morning break on the golden shore. Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast, there by his love o'ershaded, sweetly my soul shall rest.
consider it a real honor today to preach the memorial service for Barbara. And you probably all don't have one, but we have her obituary. It's just a little short list of things here, but I want you to know that y'all are her obituary. Every one of you that's here whose life that she touched, you're a testimony to this lady and what this lady meant. And we want to thank you for coming. And we want you to understand what made Barbara different. The Lord is good. Barbara Diane Smith, a resident of Yoder, Colorado, went home to be in heaven at 5:36 a.m. August 14th. She had retired from Miami Yoder School, where she drove bus, substitute taught, and was a substitute custodian. Barbara was born 31st October 1945 in Hillsdale, Michigan, to Theodore and Virginia Knight. She married to Arthur G. Smith on May 28, 1982. Her husband survives her, 3 sons, Breton Stryker, Alexander Stryker, and David Smith, and a daughter, Nicole Smith Thompson, 10 grandchildren, 3 sisters, Carol Colbert, Maribel Knight, and Clara Herndon. She is preceded in death by her parents, her brother Dennis Knight, and her eldest son, Craig S. Stryker. We have known this family a very long time, and we had the opportunity to know her parents. And all the kids, I guess, we've met, and they've known us. This is a special day today. We want to honor the Lord and honor the memory of Barbara. At this time, Art has some things he'd like to say, if he can, and then we're going to open it up for those that might want to make brief comments that you think would be a blessing to folks about Barbara and her life. Go ahead, Art.
I think everyone who knew Barbara knew her sense of humor. As I was going through her paperwork, I found written in her hand a story. Boudreaux, Pastor Boudreaux, pastored a Baptist church, and Pastor Thibodeau pastored the Church of Christ right across the road. And the two of them were out by the road pounding in a sign. And it said, the end is near. Turn around now. And this car come roaring up, and the guy screamed to a halt, "You religious nuts," and took off. Went around the corner, and they heard screaming tires and a loud splash. Pastor Boudreaux turned to Pastor Thibodeau. He said, "You know, I think we ought to change the sign and say bridge out." Barbara had a tremendous sense of humor. How do you put someone's life into just a few hours, a few minutes? On October 31st, 1945, a beautiful little girl was born to Theodore and Virginia Knight of Hillsdale, Michigan. They named her Barbara Diane. She was the third of what would eventually be 5 children. Carol was the first, Dennis was the second, Barbara was third, Maribel was fourth, followed by little Clara. Theodore was what was called a custom farmer. He owned the equipment, mostly John Deere, and used it to farm for others. He did the planting and harvesting on several farms for a share of the profits. His children all assisted in the work. from the time they could sit the seat of a tractor. And she could operate just about anything. As a young woman, she worked at the local shoe store in Hillsdale and became quite proficient at determining the shoe size for customers. And she used this skill throughout her life to make sure that the shoes fit her loved ones. She graduated from high school in Hillsdale and went on to college at Eastern Michigan, where she earned a bachelor's degree in home economics and began her teaching career in Ann Arbor, Michigan. While in college, she met her future husband, Dave Stryker, with whom she had 3 sons, Craig, Brett, Alex, and in 1982, her marriage to Dave was ended. During that time, she taught at Peyton High School, and taught there for 3 years, and was the volleyball coach. The second year as volleyball coach, they went to state. The third year they went to state. And then the school board did not renew her contract. So she quit teaching for a long time and went to work for DOD, where she worked as the Nurse Corps recruiter in Denver, received many awards. Then she worked for CID on Fort Carson and came up with a better method of entering data than what they were using. And she was sent TDY to train others on her method. Then we were stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, where she worked for the calibrations department as a clerk and came up with a better method of inputting data. Back then, they were not computers. They were word processors. But she came up with a better method, and she got sent TDY to Pueblo Army Depot, and several others were sent for her to train on how to do her system. And it was used Army-wide for a while until they went to real computers. Then we went to Germany, and she was the Provost Marshal's secretary. And in every single one of these DOD jobs, she received numerous awards. Then we returned to Fort Carson, where she worked out processing soldiers. And one of the soldiers that she out-processed was the Army's first astronaut. And somewhere in our house is a box of awards. I can't find it. But in that box is an autographed picture of him in his spacesuit. Then she transferred from that job to working for CID again as the office automation assistant. She had to make sure all of their electronic devices were working properly, all their computers were working properly, and received many awards for that. That was her DOD career, and that ended shortly after she was diagnosed with cancer in 1994. Anyway, to continue, on May 28th, 1982, she and I got married at the Wee Kirk of the Heather in Las Vegas, Nevada. She often told me that she married me so that she could travel the world. And of course, a couple months after we got married, I got sent to Korea, and she stayed here. Then we went to Fort Hood, Texas, of course. But eventually we ended up in Germany, and she got to travel through Europe twice. Got to go to Paris, France twice. Once with her sister, and once with her parents and sister and me. Then we got stationed in Abbeville, Louisiana, where I was advisor to the National Guard. And we found a great church down there. And she learned to cook Cajun. And that's where she learned that joke, that Cajun joke I told. Barbara was an awesome lady. If she was going to do something, she was going to do it the best. She was going to do whatever it was. She was going to do the best she possibly could. Whether it be baking a cake, making blueberry pancakes on Sunday morning, knitting, crocheting, sewing. She became an expert at whatever she did. The students at the school loved her. The teachers and staff at the school loved her. People at church, everyone who knew her, either loved her or hated her because she was strict. You did right, or you were, yeah. In 2001, she became a school bus driver at Miami Yoder School, and Kelly trained her, and she became very proficient. Then she found out that because she had a bachelor's degree, she could become a substitute teacher and get a 5-year certificate. And she loved to teach, so she did that. And she was one of the teachers that got chosen by she was one of the substitutes that got chosen by most of the teachers to teach because she could control the class quite well. She knew what she was doing. Her love for God, family, and friends was evident in every single way. She was always looking for another way to serve. She always strove to be as proficient as she could. At church, she served as Sunday school teacher, church secretary, class recorder, choir member, and there's a little keyboard here behind these pictures that she would play and sing specials. And the joy that was on her face when she was singing to the Lord was just amazing. And she just glowed. Her life verse was Psalm 56:4. In God, I will praise his word. In God, I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do to me. She fought cancer for 25 years. She fought breast cancer for 6. And she did not give up. Not even to the end. She had a tremendous sense of humor, and it was contagious. She was not a practical joker, but if a practical joke was played on her, the instigator needed to beware. It was once said that she doesn't get even, she gets ahead. She wasn't one to bring attention to herself. She always put the others first. One of the pictures is where our senior group went to the Royal Gorge, and in the picture, you can only see the top of her head. That was typical Barbara. You first. She finally won the fight against cancer. Her cancer is cured.
That's right.
She's with the Lord. And I'm pretty sure that Our nephew Danny is there. And she and Jack are probably having a conversation with the Lord. And Liz Kelly and Elizabeth Bauk. And they're probably worshiping the Lord right now at his feet. Barbara, enjoy eternity. We'll see you again.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to share a thought or two? Yes, Dixie. That's all right. Come ahead, Dixie. Sorry. It's all right. Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon to all of you. My name is Dixie Johnson. My husband passed in October of 2012, and I came to this church on November 2012. And when I first got here, I had been here once before, and I had friends then, but my best friend was Miss Barbara. When I first got here, I didn't know anyone except my daughter and my grandson. They were here already. And it was kind of new to me. I didn't know really anyone here except my daughter and my grandson. But everybody was very nice to me, and lots of people, my friends now, I didn't have then because they weren't here then. So, Miss Barbara, I had not asked to be a member here at that time. And when I first got here, Miss Barbara was very nice to me. One of the few people that was very nice to me. And she started talking to me. And she didn't know that I wasn't a member of this church because I was here. But later on, I invited the pastor at that time was Pastor Hurto and his wife and their children that was here. And I invited him to my home and asked him, could I become a member of this church? At that time, I had been a member out at Fort Carson at Soldier Memorial Chapel, even though my husband was in the Air Force. But anyway, I asked him, could I become a member of this church? And he said that I could. His wife said, okay. So I asked him, would he talk to the board here and ask them if I could become a member of this church? And they said it was okay. So the next Sunday, the pastor announced that I had asked to become a member, that it had been approved and everything. So I was a member of this church. I have been ever since November of 2012. Okay. Then the first Sunday after that I was here, which I started coming, and I came on a Sunday. We have services on a Wednesday night. And I don't remember missing too many of those times that I was here on Sunday with my family, and I came back on Wednesday nights, which I've enjoyed ever since, and I thank the pastor and all of his family was being very nice to me. But the first Sunday that I was here, after I became a member, Miss Barbara was walking down the aisle, and she stopped and she spoke to me. And I thought that was great because she realized God sent her to me to be a friend. And I would like to talk about now my friendship with her. Miss Barbara was very nice to me. She started coming by when she would come in the church, or either when she was going out the door. She had this special wave that she gave. I know it wasn't just to me, but I felt good about her doing that. Okay, so then that started. I started talking to her, and I would go over because she would be crocheting mostly beautiful things that she made for everybody that wanted